Welcome to this week's podcast, and this podcast is about the previous loss to BYU and this upcoming week to TCU. My name is Jalen Knighton, aka The Rooster, and this is this week's podcast.
Dude, you were natural at this. Yes, hey, by the way, why do they call you The Rooster?
They called me The Rooster back in 2008. I was real fast, and I had a red mohawk. So my coach, I had caught a kick return. I took it to the house, and he said his name not Orange and Green no more. It's The Rooster, and it stuck with me ever since.
I love it. That's
Yes,
a really great nickname.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is the On the Pony Express podcast, hosted by Billy Embody, brought to you by Epoch Estate Wines. Walking strong on the Pony Express, a weekly segment with SMU alum, owner, vintner of Epoch Estate Wines, Bill Armstrong. Epoch Estate Wines, world-class wines from Paso Robles wine country. And now your host. Billy Embody. 1, 2, 3, let me go.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Walking Strong podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Podcast pod?
Oh, man, you are my podcast partner. I'm psyched for this, man. I am psyched. Because we're getting into the meat. We're getting into the meat of our schedule,
Yeah.
which is so much fun. So let's talk about both BYU a little bit, and let's talk about TCU a little bit. And then what do you think about that?
I love that.
As far
We've
as
got
the
to get
schedule?
into the wine, of course.
We're having a brilliant bottle of wine this morning. We're actually filming this in the morning. Breakfast of Champions. So today we're having a brilliant bottle of Epoch Ingenuity. And of course, we'd love to have Ingenuity in the Web, where we are. We're in the Armstrong Wellness Center.
Yeah.
in the Weber End Zone complex. And you can see behind us all the weights. And if you hear noises, it's because a couple of our players are working out over here. It's actually during practice, but you can see Kamar over there. You can see Rooster over there. And they're going to be making smoothies for the team right behind us. So that's the noise you hear around us. But
We're in the action, though.
we're smack dab in the middle of the action because,
sure.
that's the way we roll, baby.
Cheers. I think we're the first people to have wine in this wellness center, right?
Yeah, well, you've got to be the first, right? Absolutely. Hey, let's talk about the week's big, right?
Yes.
It's TCU.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I told you this or not, but last week we had our SMU board meetings. Mm-hmm. Gerald Turner asked me not to dog Sonny Dykes or TCU.
Why?
I thought
You never do that.
I goes, that's hilarious. Anyway, so I'm not going to. I don't think I'm going to lay off Sonny. I will never leave you, Dykes.
Yeah.
I won't criticize Sonny. I would walk across broken glass to coach SMU. The only way you will I will ever leave SMU is if you fire me, Dykes. I'm not going to bring it up.
Do that.
I'm not going to talk about the fact that, Sonny, I shanked my former boss and then stole his job and then went to the national championship with his players. Dykes, I'm not going to talk about that. No. So, none of that's going to happen this week because we all know that I wanted Sonny to stay here, so I fought hard. And, Sonny, you're responsible for this end zone, indirectly.
Correct.
And it was actually the ingenuity of our athletic department, our board of trustees, and a bunch of generous donors, particularly Gary Weber, that made this happen. So that was lots of ingenuity. That's the wine this week.
And it led to SMU playing this game as an ACC,
Big
ACC 12 matchup.
I know it. Because Sonny kept us out of the Big 12.
Indeed.
Little did he think that he would actually go to a much better conference. Mm-hmm. There you go. So that was ingenious too, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, unbelievable. So
This
here we
is
are.
such a great blend, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's a really fan. So this blend is Petit Syrah, Mourvedre, and a little Grenache, and it is rocking. So
And it's in the Pony Express case, which you can find at epicwines.com/pony.
Game 4.
Game 4.
I think this is a 96 point scoring wine. Might have been
Pretty
more.
high.
That's
what SMU's hoping to do this week.
No kidding. I love it. Before we talk about the TCU game,
Yes.
I do want to talk about the coaching decision. The quarterback decision, which Rhett made, really big decision. But BYU,
Yes.
that was hard to watch.
Yes.
That was unbelievably hard to watch.
Offensively.
It was offensive.
Yeah.
It was just offensive, and the offensive line really was offensive to me. And what the heck? We get in the red zone 5 times, and we don't score a touchdown.
That's unheard of.
In fact, we only scored 6 points total. Being in the end, we had 2 turnovers inside the 10.
Yeah.
anyway, I mean, I guess in some respects, the fact that we had those three turnovers, all those penalties, arguably a bunch of really bad calls against us, and we were within a 3 points with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah.
I mean, we should have frankly won, and but we didn't, and it was too bad because right now we would be 3-0. We'd probably be ranked in the top 25 realistically.
Yep.
And because BYU is arguably not bad at all.
And now receiving votes too. They are.
Are they?
So,
Are they?
yes.
Yeah.
So they've got a little bit of recognition for their strong start. And for SMU getting all the way down the red zone in different opportunities, those are just missed. And people say it was an ass whipping or whatever you want to call it. SMU ran the ball well.
Yes, we did.
Rashard Smith over 5 yards carry.
Yep.
Rooster over 4 yards carry.
Yep.
Kevin Jennings had some pop to him in the run game. But they just didn't finish drives. And the pass protection had so many blown assignments and penalties and those types of things that it was truly a you beat yourself type of game.
No doubt.
Because the defense played great.
They did play great. They did play great. And normally you win that game. A Rhett Lashley team normally scores 40, and we hold them to 18. And that's a win. Yep. That's a win. So
that was what I predicted, I think 31-20, something like that.
Did you?
And if they punch it in a time or two, we're looking at that being the score. Which I know it's ifs and buts, but
didn't you think both times we had turnovers on their team, I kept thinking to myself, the defense needs to score because our offense isn't scoring. The one getting
the interception that was so close. Jared Harrison Hunt with another big play to his early SMU career, and I believe it was Ricky Hunley, maybe Scott Simons, who said it last week on the bye. Well, we had an interception and we didn't score off of it, and it's kind of one of those things. It wasn't a shot, but you're like, yeah, that's true. That was the difference in the ball game. Jared Harrison Hunt getting tackled at the 3.
At the 3, yeah. And then we have a holding penalty the next play. Then 2 plays later, that was the fumble on review.
Yep. And
I was on the field. Was it a clear-cut fumble?
I don't think it was clear-cut because the issue is when his forward progress stopped, and I felt like looking at it, it kind of looked like his leg was down.
So he had forward progress and a leg down.
Yeah.
And then they overturned it. That's the game.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, that's the game.
Yeah. So
anyway, it was a really tough loss. But let's be real. That's preseason. I know I hate to say that because I really want to be 3-0. But let's Nevada, Houston Christian,
kind of got going.
BYU, and really TCU. That's all preseason before we get into the league. And the league plays in 2 weeks against Florida State. And by the way, what's happened to Florida State? Are you kidding me?
That's one of the reasons why, yes, preseason, SMU could lose all 4 of these games in the preseason and go on and
still be
if they found a way to
win the
conference. People would be like, all right, wow, that was quite the roller coaster, but
quite the turnaround. Yeah, exactly.
But for Florida State, you see why winning this week is so important.
Yeah.
Because if SMU goes and loses to BYU, Big 12 team, TCU, a Big 12 team, all those ACC schools that took care of business against Big 12 teams over the last 3 weeks or so, it's just an opportunity for SMU to say, we got this. Don't worry. FSU's screwing things up. We'll take this.
Yeah, great point. They have a tough game in Cal.
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable. Who would ever think that their head coach might be on the block? Crazy.
When you make quarterback decisions and they don't work out,
I know,
which is what we're going to talk about right now. This is a huge decision that Rhett Lashley came out with last week, and I love the timing of it.
Me too.
I like that you take the gravity of what you've done and you kind of just say, we're going with our guy. We're try and stop us, do whatever, and we're going to be preparing for this game like it's a regular game, because I think that's what Kevin maybe brings to the table in that regard, that every game is just another game.
He's definitely that way. I know it was a tough decision by Rhett, really tough decision. But, I mean, let's face it, KJ's earned it. I mean, we all love Preston Stone.
Yeah,
and he is
the best.
He can throw the long ball is better than almost anybody. But against BYU, with their just onslaught of a rush, he was helpless back there. And KJ is a little quicker with his feet.
Yep.
And so very difficult decision, and everybody loves KJ. Everybody loves Preston.
Yep.
And I'm no doubt on your on your board or whatever you call that. Hail to the red and the blue. I actually know what it's called.
Pretty nice, right?
But I went on it once, and it was just the stench of everybody like second guessing everybody else just made me. I couldn't go there. But I can imagine they had a lot of comments.
Oh yes, a lot of comments, a lot of opinions.
Probably put you in a bad spot because they're asking you this, because they all want you to give them the backstory, right, and what's happening behind the scenes.
Well, and everything is nuanced, right? Like Preston did lead SMU back against Nevada in the fourth quarter, but he also did have a poor start to that game.
Yeah, he did.
And every single game this year,
Nevada, poor start.
Yep, interception. 3 and out against Houston Christian.
Yes.
3 and out twice in a row against BYU, and against BYU, the rush was the rush. Like Preston, on some of those had no chance. But it's still all right, this guy, unfortunately for Preston, has started that way.
Yep.
And we're seeing how fine the line is. Ifs and buts again, but let's say, Kevin, it was a starter for BYU.
Yep.
Maybe there is one more field goal on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, because three series were nothing.
Yeah.
And so the idea is maybe this jump starts the offense from the beginning, and they can control the clock a little bit more. We talked about that going into the BYU game. If SMU came out with a slow start, BYU got some of that confidence that they can be physical and push SMU around, it was going to be a dogfight, and it was.
Yeah, it was. I had an interesting phone call after the game from Shane Buechele, one of our podcast buddies.
Yep.
He's, obviously he's our ex-quarterback. Now he's playing for the Buffalo Bills. He calls me up and he said, there's that old saying, if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. And he said, I was at UT before I came to SMU, and they tried to do the same thing to me that Rhett's doing with KJ and Preston. He says, it destroys the confidence of the guys that are trying to be quarterback, and then the team naturally kind of selects who they're kind of pulling for. So it just tears up the locker room.
Yeah.
So we needed to get away from that system.
I think Rhett's decision to do it now was what was timely about it. And the first 2 weeks they were able to survive. Nevada, they get a win doing some of that.
Yep.
Houston Christian was Houston Christian. But against BYU, that was the game that going in, at least I said on the message board, I said, guys, this is going to be resolved this week or emphatically against TCU. And it was resolved emphatically against BYU in time for TCU and then the stretch of maybe ACC play.
Right.
And who knows if it works out, if it is the right decision, but it is the right decision to pick one now and let them roll.
I totally agree with you. And I think, I'm not sure how you feel about it, but at practice for the last 2 weeks, the level of intensity has gone up.
Yeah.
I mean, you see a lot more ass chewing going on, a lot more, getting the offensive line working properly, a lot of, receivers get open, you miss the, blah, blah, blah. Because,
And I think this team had a lot of trust from the coaches going into this season. And you know what? Every team is different. And this team, hey, the defense maybe has a trust. They've got that down, right?
Yeah.
But the offense, you know what? They had to say, your way might not have been working as well.
Right.
Time for this bye week to reset, do it our way, get back on track, and they're going to look to do that against TCU.
I totally agree. So let's talk about the TCU game.
Yep.
Hey, a couple of things I'd love to tell you guys, and I got a couple of funny emails and texts this week. What do the TCU students and SMU students all have in common? They all applied to SMU. That's kind of funny. That's
so good.
That's an
easy T-shirt.
That's an easy T-shirt.
Yeah.
Or how about this one? What does a TCU grad call an SMU grad? Boss.
Now that is a T-shirt.
Is that a T-shirt?
It's in the bookstore.
Oh,
or it was.
It was it?
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking last night before this podcast, what does a TCU graduate ask an SMU graduate? Who ordered the double chai latte frappuccino? Come on, you got to have fun.
I know.
I love rivalries. I love rivalries.
Yeah. There's good barbs. I know you're not on Twitter. You're lucky.
Yeah.
But there is some great follows on both sides of this rivalry, and it's stupid that in 2 years from now, I don't care what side you're on, how biased you are on either side, 100+ year rivalry that's across town.
It's crazy.
Duke and Carolina aren't canceling theirs. I know they're conference exposed, but if Carolina left for the
Georgia
SEC,
State's not canceling.
Yeah, Georgia Tech, yeah.
Auburn and Alabama aren't canceling.
Yeah,
South Carolina, Clemson.
Yeah,
they're
that's
not
a great
getting,
one.
Come on. NC State, come on.
Yeah.
And this is this great rivalry. It's been, 107 years or something like that?
Yep.
Except for a few they missed. And all of a sudden for them to pull, I don't know. Sonny, I hope you reconsider. Because it's good for Dallas and it's good for Fort Worth. And having these rivalries really is good. It really is good for college sports.
He won't consider it, but if he's one day in the next couple of years not the TCU head coach.
Ooh, you just said that, didn't you?
I said it last year in November that Rhett signed an extension after winning in November, and one was going to be on the hot seat this year. And
wow,
TCU fans were really mad about that. And after UCF came back, some of them are out.
Well, I tell you what, I'm not going to pile on Sonny, but why not? If you add up losing to Kansas State in the Big 12 championship and then getting their ass absolutely crushed by Georgia, and then all last season and now this season, I think he's under 500.
Oh, yeah.
In the last year and whatnot.
Change, yeah.
Yeah, year and change. So when you're used to winning the way TCU is, your alums will turn on you in a moment.
And they're a proud alum group.
Yes, they are.
They hiring Andy Avalos, hiring Kendall Briles. Those are choices.
Yes.
Those are choices.
Yeah.
And he put a lot of political capital into that for Sonny. I asked one of the TCU reporters this week, I said, is this game not necessarily coaching for his job? Because they could go on and play well in Big 12 play.
Sure.
But is it that big of a game? And there was not a firm, yes, it's that big of a game, but you can tell that if SMU can come out and take care of business, the hot seat is truly there.
Yeah, I completely agree. And let's face it, the Big 12 is a grab bag about who's going to win.
Yeah, totally.
Even the ACC to some extent is a grab bag this year. Boston College is better than everybody thought. NC State's not as good as everybody thought. Who knows what's happening at Florida State? Yeah. Holy shit! And then SMU is sputtering, and who knows what we're going to do the rest of the season. Yeah. And the Big 12 is exactly the same way. Any one of those teams on any given Saturday can win.
And the whole idea this year was that OU, Texas gone. TCU should step into that spotlight and be one of the top teams in the Big 12. They could be that, but giving up a 21-point lead and being run on like they were by UCF, first of all, gives SMU a good blueprint. Rhett Lash's old boss, Gus Malzahn, probably chatting with him a little bit this week about what works.
Gus and Rhett are close.
Yeah,
let's face
us.
it. They're like us. They don't do a podcast together, but they're super close.
Yeah.
He was the quarterback at Shiloh. We heard that on that earlier origin story about Rhett. And Gus Malzahn was his high school coach. Think about that. So they go way back. And so there's no doubt that they have been talking. That's the way the college game works. That's the way any game works. So the oil and gas game works that way. Even the wine game works that way. When you find Drew Bledsoe, look at my boy. You know. So by the way, I was going to have Andy Dalton on this week to talk a little smack about the game coming up. He is my favorite TCU grad of all time. Very proud of Andy Dalton because he just got the nod to be the starting quarterback for the Panthers this weekend. He's 36.
Talk about making a career. He's a legend over there in Fort Worth for so many reasons. I believe the first SMU-TCU game I ever attended was Andy Dalton leading them to a win here at Ford.
No kidding.
Yes.
Well,
I have my dates right.
Indirectly, we can thank Andy Dalton for our new Spirit program. Because when he took them to the Rose Bowl against Wisconsin, it was some alum like me sitting in the stands, and they're looking down at their cheer squad, and they said, Wisconsin is a lot better than our cheer squad. And so that was how they created the Showgirls.
Gotcha.
And then the Showgirls inspired us, me, Liz and I, to let's see if we can revamp our Spirit program. So I'm going to give that to Andy.
There you go.
It's my checkbook, but his inspiration that did that.
Well, see, there's praise and a little ribbing on this side of the rivalry.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's good. I think it's good for college football. I think the students at TCU like it, the alums like it, SMU alums. So, Gerald, I love you, but I can't lay off TCU or Sonny. I just can't. It's good for the game.
4,600 students They've sold out the student ticket allotment and added more. They're all going to be sitting right behind TCU's bench.
I hope that our students are classier than their students, because last year when we played there, I had them screaming the F-bomb at me the whole game. It was just, I'm just going, hey, what did I ever do to you guys? It was.
You want some wine? Settle down.
They took the Christian out of TCU on that day. It was weird, anyway. And so I hope the SMU fans just be classy. Try to be classy.
Yeah.
Have fun, but be classy. So.
How do you see this playing out?
It's going to be I think it's going to be a dogfight. We have the defense. I feel good about that. I have to admit, I have lost confidence in our offense, and they have to show me.
Yep, show me game.
It's a show me game for me, and the offensive line in particular. I mean, we have the bodies, we have the skills, but they're just not gelling yet. They may gel this week, and they seem to be gelling in practice. But wow, until that happens, I think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah.
And Colin Rogers, by the way, player of the game against BYU, 5 for 5. By the way, kicking 5 field goals in a game, that's not easy to do. I mean, it's not.
I bet he got drug tested after that. I mean, some of those were
monster kicks.
The 52, 53
I just
going to get you called in.
I just wish that 4 of them was for extra points.
Oh, sure.
As opposed to like these long field goals. But you can see him practicing out there right now. We ought to have him introduce us on this deal. That'd be fun. He's a really fine young man. So anyway, I'm going to say SMU in a squeaker, SMU by 3.
It's a show me game. Unfortunately for SMU, they've not won the last 2 years. Show me before I can pick you down.
Don't do it. Oh man, I can't do it. I can't.
I know you can't.
I can't do it.
Neither could Hayden Howerton. He couldn't pick against SMU, but
I may have to get a new podcast partner.
I picked SMU the last 2 years. Maybe it changes how it goes.
Oh, I see.
Right?
So you're so all-powerful. You're so all-powerful that it's your call is going to decide.
Well, they're going to be pissed at me, and then maybe.
Okay, yeah,
right.
Yeah, when they run on the field, they're thinking about.
Yeah, they're holding up the sign of my pick.
There's your pick. They're carrying. They're throwing stuff at you. Billy Embody.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, listen.
In a squeaker.
You never know what the inspiration is going to come from.
Yes.
So you're saying TCU.
In a squeaker.
In a squeaker. All right. Well, listen. It's going to be a really great game. It's going to be a full house.
Yep. Weather's fantastic. Little hot, but that's okay.
Weather's going to be warm. We're going to be in the shade on the west side here, which will be good.
Yep.
And there's always shade in the Weber end zone, which is incredible. So come visit us in our suite, and make sure you come to the game. Be loud, be proud, and the Boulevard should be awesome. The Boulevard will be out there awesome. Yes. Yeah. We should film a podcast from the Boulevard.
Sign me up.
How much fun would that be? We ought to do a walking podcast.
I'll meet you out here, 8 a.m.?
What do you call that on a stick where you have the camera and you walk along and everything? The selfie stick.
I love it. We got time.
I want to walk through like Sorority Row down there and show why every 17-year-old male or female in the country wants to come to SMU.
Big recruiting weekend for SMU basketball. A couple top 100 guys, so maybe they walk them through there too.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
Because we're about to land, we think, a couple of top 100 players.
They're good spots. Yeah.
Fantastic. And he's working it, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
I love that. Yeah. So, hey, by the way, somebody from Denver, you'll crack up about this. They caught our podcast somehow. I'm going to be on the Drive Time Sports Show today.
No way.
Live to talk about how we turn around SMU.
We'll have to pub that on the message board to our dozens of fans.
Tens of fans. Yeah. Our dozens of fans. They'll probably ask me about what I think of Prime.
Oh, yeah.
What would you say? Is it CU now? I think the Florida and Florida State jobs are going to come up. Yeah. I think
Florida for sure. I don't think they're going to do that to Norvell after this year. He made a bad quarterback choice.
Okay.
And that has been kind of the.
But don't you think Neon?
But next year you got.
Don't you think Neon's looking at it and thinking, that's my home?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. And maybe that's why he stays another year at Colorado. Yeah. But talk about energizing a fan base. It's electric out there. It's a circus great. As well, but it's electric out there in Boulder.
I mean. Neon's a bit like Donald Trump, right? You kind of love him or hate him. It's polarizing. Yep. But I think he's really turned the program around.
Yeah.
And it's certainly for the fan base standpoint.
Yeah.
And since I lived in Denver for 50 years, I'm kind of a secret CU fan. I was really hoping that we'd be playing them in the Pac-12 there for a while. But now we're in the Good Lord. The ACC. The ACC, so we're happy to do it. Anyway, this is going on too long. Dude, this is great.
Yeah, cheers.
Another great.
Another battle for the iron skillet.
Oh, the iron skillet. I forgot about the iron skillet. Yeah, I'm going to.
Maybe you'll be beating Sonny over the head at the end of the game. No, just kidding, everyone.
Sonny and I are buddies. We're kind of. Well, not really, but we were, and so hey, that's part of the rivalry, right?
Yep. So,
all right.
For Bill Armstrong, I'm Billy Embody. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Walking Strong podcast, and check out the Pony Express case at epicwines.com/pony. Catch you guys next time talking about SMU's ACC opener against Florida State.
Woo, that'll be fun.
Thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the On the Pony Express podcast with Billy Embody. Follow us on your socials on X at SMU-on3 and on Instagram at On3SMU. And keep it locked to OnThePonyExpress.com for more coverage.